Hello, and welcome to Spark Plug, a series of interviews with women in the field of STEM. We are Team Girls Spark, an all-girls robotics team from Troy, Michigan. We recently competed in the first robotics qualifying event and are now preparing for the state competition this week. So let's start off with introducing some of our team members. I'm Janvi, and I'm the lead of programming on this team.
Hi, I'm Versha. I'm the lead of hardware.
Hi, I'm Sayuri and I'm the lead of finance.
Hi, I'm Sonika and I'm the co-lead of outreach.
Hi, my name is Annika and I'm also the co-lead of outreach.
Hi, I'm Swathi and I'm the lead of CAD.
Today we are interviewing Senator Mallory McMorrow, representative of the 13th District here in Michigan. Welcome, Senator. It's great to talk to you. Congratulations on your new baby. We've seen Noah and she's so cute. How have you been feeling recently after you getting back from your maternity leave?
We've been feeling good. Noah is a little over 3 months old now and already forming a personality, starting to explore the world a little bit. So it's been really great to get back, and I'm really grateful for my team. As you ladies all know how important having a good team is. So my team in my office really helped to make sure I could focus on being a new mom, being there for Noah, but it's great to be back at work.
That's awesome to hear. So we're an all-girls team, and our mission statement is promoting equality in STEAM. Can you tell us more about your background in education in STEM and your experience as a female in the male-dominant field of engineering?
Yeah, this is so important. So I got my degree in college in industrial design and started my career in the auto industry. So I worked for Mazda on concept cars, future vehicles, and then spent a number of years working at Mattel. You can actually see behind me is Campaign Team Barbie. So it's a political campaign team Barbie set. But I worked on the Hot Wheels brand, and I worked with designers, engineers. I interfaced with some of our manufacturers overseas in China. We developed everything from the toy cars that you see to backpacks and skateboards and bikes. And I have my name on a patent for a ride-on toy that was something we developed for Hot Wheels that was kind of like a skateboard and a motorized bicycle, but you laid face first on the ground, kind of like skeleton in the Olympics. And it was cool. We built an adult-sized prototype, so I would cruise around the Mattel offices at 30, 40 miles an hour, and it was super fun. So I was definitely one of the only women a lot of time in the room, so I got very, very comfortable kind of being that voice. And it's interesting, as my career went on, I sort of carried that like a sense of pride, like I'm the only one here. But as I got a little older in my career, I realized that I really wanted other women to work with. So that's been something that I've carried with me in my career, is also mentoring other women to get into male-dominated spaces, whether it's the auto industry, whether it's design, or now my role as an elected official, where it's still very male-dominated. There's only about 30% female representation in legislatures and in Congress.
Oh, wow. That's amazing to hear, considering how we feel going into robotics competitions and seeing so many males on teams. So it just feels awesome that we can be an all-girls team and kind of show people that girls can do STEAM too.
Absolutely.
Was there a time where you experienced misogyny and felt challenged by it?
Yes, so many. I'll give you two examples, one at the beginning of my career and one that was much more recent. When I started my career, I was still in college. I entered a car design competition and I won, which meant that I got to go out to the LA Auto Show and we built my car live on stage at the LA Auto Show, a model of it. So I was so excited. I packed everything up. I went out to LA, I landed, and I checked in at the hotel and said, my name is Mallory, I'm here for the auto show. And the person at the front desk checking me in immediately said, oh, you must be one of those car models, the women who stand in front of the cars and point to them. And it was shocking to me that that was just the assumption, and it couldn't be, I couldn't be an engineer. I couldn't be somebody working at the show. And there have been a lot of moments like that where just the assumption is, you're just there to be an accessory. So that was really hard to overcome. So I've made it a point to be very vocal about my experiences. I ended up becoming an auto journalist. So I wrote for Road and Track about being in the industry. And I think that was an important voice to have. And then recently, when I decided to run for office, I was going door to door campaigning, telling people why I wanted this job and asking for their vote. And there was a woman who was probably about my mom's age, who I told her who I was and that I was running for office and kind of gave her what I wanted to do in this role. And she asked me if I had any kids. At the time, I didn't. And she asked, well, when are you planning on having them? And how many kids do you plan to have? And she was really digging in on this question. And, I said that I was planning on having kids. I don't know when. And she said, I'm sorry, I can't vote for you because somebody who's a mom can't do this job full time. And I want somebody who's able to do this job and be in the office. And that really hurt because I think that it's important to have women in roles at every level so that we have somebody who represents us and understands our experiences. And if we're sending the message that women can't do these jobs, then we're not going to have anybody advocating for us.
Yeah, for sure.
As young robotics members, we look up to your perseverance and bravery in tackling engineering. We read about your impressive achievements in your STEAM career. Why did you decide to go into STEAM? Did you have any particular role model as a student that empowered you?
That's a great question. So I grew up with brothers. I grew up with boys, and my friends in middle school and high school tended to be guys. So I just really loved cars. I loved figuring them out. I loved, all the different designs. And when I finally could afford to buy my own car, my mom went in and helped me buy my first car. The deal was I had to pay for half of it. But the deal was also when it breaks, you have to fix it. So, I bought a manual and I was going through and figuring out how to do everything on the car. And I think that hands-on experience just got me really excited about it. But I still didn't know what I wanted to do. And then I got to college and I saw somebody in the basement of a building, carving a clay model of a product and said, what is that? And I didn't even know at the time that that's an entire career. Is it somebody who kind of lives between engineering and art to come up with what products look like, how they fit in your hand, doing, user research and studies and asking people for their feedback and doing observation. And I just absolutely fell in love with it. So it was exciting to see it, but it's also exciting to know that you don't necessarily need to know right now what you want to do because there's probably opportunities out there that exist that you don't even know about yet.
I think your motivation for going into STEM is so cool. So politics and STEM seem like kind of almost polar opposites. So what drove you to kind of switch to your political career?
So I will say up front, I think we need a lot more people with STEAM backgrounds in politics. You all know we are problem solvers. We go in and we want to understand the problem. We want to see it from all different angles. We want to ask questions, and then we want to go test things, and we want to test it and see if it works. And if it doesn't work, we try something else. When I went through school to learn how to be a designer, you come up with 1,000 different ideas and you exhaust them and you throw them against the wall and you try them. And it's always that last idea when you're exhausted and tired and you've gone through kind of everything you think is going to be the solution. And then that light bulb goes off and it works. And it usually works when you've got team members and it just starts to gel together. And when I started to look at how our political system works, it's not really about problem solving. It's about somebody putting their name on a bill and trying to push it forward without that collaborative process. So there isn't kind of the testing and iterating that you see in STEAM fields. There's just, I think this is the idea and I'm going to push it forward no matter what. And I think we know that's not always the right solution. It might not even be the sixth right solution. It might be a ways away, but you have to try and fail to get to the right thing. So I'm trying to bring more of that into politics where it is more collaborative. It's still, to put something through, I still have to put my name on a bill and advocate for it, but we're trying to do it in a more collaborative way and connect with all of our constituents in new ways on social media and at events, and just try to make it a conversation. And I think that if there's more people with a STEAM background in fields that aren't STEAM, we're going to get a lot more done.
That sounds awesome. One of your goals as a senator was to empower educators to prepare kids for the future, and you also promote innovation. Could you tell us more about that?
Yeah, so I think that one of the most exciting things, especially about Michigan, and I'll tell all of you a little secret, I was not born in Michigan. I'm not originally from here, which is a scandalous thing to say when you're running for office in a state. But I was born in New Jersey. I've lived all over the country, and I chose to move to Michigan because I think that this is a place that we solve the world's problems. This is where the auto industry in the United States came into being, and where people came from all around the world to work in Michigan and move the auto industry forward. We have engineers and scientists. We have an incredible immigrant population who sees opportunity in Michigan, and we have kind of this melting pot that all comes here, and we're surrounded by nature. So I think that's something that I'm always inspired by, is what are kind of the natural solutions that exist out there that we can be inspired by. So in my role here, I look at Michigan as a place that has the potential to change the world. And we do that through innovation. So one of the issues that I'm working on really passionately right now is around electric vehicles. We are the home of the auto industry, but if we don't evolve in this space, then my fear is Michigan gets left behind for states like California and countries like China, who are investing very, very heavily. So that's how do we bring in programmers, software engineers. We know how to make cars really well, cars and trucks, but how do we bring the science and the innovation together to redesign everything, whether it's electric cars or autonomous vehicles that learn how to drive themselves? How are those cars going to talk to each other? How are they going to talk to the road? Do we have to redesign what the road is and how it works so that we can get these cars to function with each other? So I think it's a huge opportunity that I hope we lean in on so that Michigan can change the world again.
I love your new vision of our Michigan in the future. You really do have strong political goals. Can you please tell us about your background and personal experiences that have affected these goals?
Oh my goodness, where to begin? I think that my career has always kind of been around the auto industry in some way, shape, or form. And it's been fascinating to see what changes, who makes the decisions in the industry, and how things are kind of moving around. So one of my last jobs before I ran for office was I was doing consulting for major automakers around trends, around engineering, to try to help them figure out where do we sort of go in this marketplace. And one of the things that inspired me is I think people underestimating Michigan. When I talk to people from all around the country, I think that there's still this perception that Michigan is Detroit at the beginning of auto manufacturing. They think about Henry Ford, and they think about the assembly line, and they think about all of these kind of old school manufacturing things, which we still have, but we also have inventors, we have chemists, we have engineers and data scientists, and we have incredible universities and high schools who are doing incredible research and work. And I think that every time I travel and come back to Michigan, I just think, man, we need more credit for who we are and what we do and the potential that we have. So that's just one experience that kind of keeps me pushing to frankly yell to the rest of the world that we are capable of so much here. And I want to make sure that we are investing in the things that are going to let us unlock all of those potentials for innovation that we have.
As you know, our robotics team is participating in the state competition with First Robotics. We heard that our local high school robotics team invited you to attend an FTC competition recently. Can you tell us more about your experience with First Robotics?
Oh my gosh, it was so fun. First of all, it was fun to actually be at an event that was before the pandemic. So it was amazing to walk in and see so many teams and kids and families and just the energy around it. You know, I think that I am the youngest woman in the Senate, but there's still a big difference between my age and your age, right? And when I was growing up, we didn't have FIRST Robotics, and we definitely didn't have all women robotics teams, which is amazing. So I walked in and was just so excited. Like, I wish that I was your age again so that I could frankly start over. And I think that just the level of competition, it is amazing to me, the things that you guys do. I mean, the challenges that they present to you. When I saw the pitch deck of what the challenge was for the year, I'm like, that is impossible. Like, that is the level of things that we were doing in college and in my professional career. So if that's what you're doing now, I mean, I just can't wait to see what you all do when you're unleashed into your careers, because it's going to blow everything that we've ever done out of the water. It's going to be so cool.
Thank you so much for sharing. I think it's so cool that you're involved in robotics, and it's amazing that you've managed to merge the ideas of STEAM with politics. And your vision for Michigan's potential in STEAM is so inspiring. As a strong female, we see you as an inspirational figure. So, do you have a message for girls interested in STEAM who may face gender barriers?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is to find your people. And just looking at all of you ladies here today, I think you've done that, right? I'm not going to call it a mistake, but I kind of mentioned it earlier that early on, I just felt like, man, it's cool that I'm the only woman here. But that's really lonely too, because there are certain barriers and hurdles that you face that you want to share with somebody, and you want to build those relationships. And I started to see some of the men that I worked with, you know, they always had a buddy to go out to get a drink with or go out on the weekends, and those mentorship opportunities that happen outside of work or outside of school, I felt left out on. So I've done a complete 180, where now I'm always looking for who are the other women who can join me, because we're much better and much stronger as a team than we are by ourselves. So I think it's, you know, it's finding that balance between, you should be very, very proud that you are in a space that is still dominated by boys and men. But how do we continue to make room for more girls and women to get into this with us? So I think that's the biggest thing, is look out for those opportunities, and look out for who is the girl who hasn't joined the team yet for whatever reason, that you can reach out to and say hello and talk about why the team is so cool and that you should join, even if there's nerves around it. Because I think it's just getting over that hurdle of being nervous to try something new. And don't be afraid to talk about your experiences, because every time I talk about something that is vulnerable, you know, something that has been a hard experience for me. I recently talked about, you know, challenges with becoming pregnant, especially being pregnant, and somebody who wants a career, and how do you balance those things? Because I think that's still a challenge. And the number of people who reached out and said, I went through the same thing, and I hear you and I thank you. We build stronger relationships when we're okay to be vulnerable, because once you say, I'm struggling in this area, you will be surprised how many other people are right there with you. And then you've got a small army, and women are going to change everything. So find your people.
Yeah, I totally agree. Varsha, do you have anything to add?
I completely agree. I think as we navigate through this global pandemic, we've all realized how important communication and just talking to the team are. We appreciate how open you are about your experiences as a woman in STEAM. We are preparing for a STEAM competition, as you know, which consists of game and live interviews. As an experienced public speaker and drawing from your STEAM experiences, do you have any tips with public speaking?
Yes. One of my favorite things about public speaking is there's a difference, and I've noticed this in myself. It took a lot of years for me to get comfortable public speaking. It's not something that comes naturally. When I wrote something down, if I went up to a podium and I read off of a piece of paper, it didn't sound like me. But I think especially in this space where you're all on this team, you know this inside and out, you're so excited, you have to position yourself where that excitement is going to come through. Authenticity is really important. So what I usually do now is I write down a couple of bullet points of things that I want to say, practice it a lot. I practice it in front of a mirror. I practice it in the car. I mean, people driving by me on the way to Lansing probably see me talking to myself all the time. And then I remember, here are the one or two things that I want to make sure I say, but then I just talk because it's that excitement when you're comfortable with something that you're an expert in and you're all experts on this team in what you do. Just talk like you are excited, let it come out. I always like to say, talk like you'd be talking to a friend, because I think that makes it a lot more accessible versus writing in a way, it's not like a term paper. But if you're explaining something to your friend, people can't help but be excited about what you're excited about. And that's infectious. So I think that's something, practice, talk to your dog, talk to your cat. There's not too many times you can practice something, but just get those one or two things that you want to say and go for it and just have fun.
Yeah, as a young public speaker, I totally agree. Thank you so much for sharing that. So me and a few others on the team are actually part of a competitive public speaking club. So it's nice to know that public speaking is so prevalent even in the real world. We'll definitely keep your tips during our judging session. Thank you so much for meeting with us today. We really look up to your strength as a female. We love talking to you, and this was a great opportunity to know more about our state senator.
Thank you, everybody. And congratulations on all your progress so far, and good luck. Go get them. And I can't wait to celebrate with you no matter what happens.
As we conclude, do you have any questions for our team?
What has been the biggest challenge for you all preparing for this year, especially through a pandemic? So what have you learned and what have you pivoted to have to do remotely as you get prepared to go into competition?
Well, I think a big challenge we faced this year was that not everyone's comfortable meeting in person. So we really had to make sure that we were dividing up the work and making sure everyone was really involved in the preparation process. So we just had to navigate like meeting in person and setting up Zoom calls. So I think that was really tough. And the challenge was just so difficult this year. So we had to really think about like brainstorm ideas and communicate with the hardware and programming team, which gets kind of hard when not everyone's in person. So I think as we've been preparing for states, those are definitely some big challenges we've faced.
Yeah, and adding on to you, John V, I think, yeah, these were like huge challenges that we had to face this year. And I think that like they've really like let us, like we've really had to like collaborate with each other. Like, okay, like obviously we're in a pandemic this year. It's a bit harder to like, communicate, like how do we do it? It definitely brought us closer as a team, like as friends and also as a team in robotics. So, I mean, it's almost like the little silver lining of the pandemic.
Who's the biggest competition this year? Now I'm just looking for dirt.
We were looking at the list of all the teams that made it to states, and we recognized a few of the names from last year, and we know that they have really good robots. So it's going to be a little bit tough, but we've been preparing for this, so I think we're ready.
Any other questions?
Yeah, last question, because I'm going to take just this experience back to my colleagues. What do you want the rest of the state of Michigan to know about this team that I can tell them? No pressure.
Well, I think just that we're so thankful that we have a senator that puts so much value in STEAM. As young people interested in STEAM, I think it's really important.
Yeah,
Did you have something to add on?
Yeah, and then maybe like trying to promote different genders, like there's those that are non-binary, those who don't even identify themselves, and they are underestimated because of that fact. And then like trying to push them into STEAM would be even more amazing.
Yeah, and honestly, a lot of people think that as girls, we want to promote just girls in engineering. And I mean, that's absolutely not true. Because I mean, we just believe that everybody should get an equal chance to pursue whatever they want.
Yeah, we want to promote those outside of the girls teams, like those who have disabilities, those who are like not as have like enough to do to help, because they have other setbacks in life that don't achieve don't let them achieve what they want.
I love that. And that's something that I've talked about a lot is in politics and government. I think our government's not going to work well for everybody until everybody is represented. So until we have, yes, I advocate for women, but not just because I want to work on women's issues. I think we are better off when we have men and women and those who are non-binary, gay, straight, immigrants, Native citizens, right? Everybody needs to be at the table, the disability community, because we need those voices. And that's where the creativity happens. If you have, and you all, I'm sure have seen this, if you have a bunch of people who all have the same experience and they all think alike, you don't come up with the creative solutions. So I am really excited for you. And I'm glad to hear that that's a focus. And I think you hit on something that is really important, that I think there's this misunderstanding that we just want to promote women and girls things. No, we want to promote opportunity for everybody and creating that space. And I think that's really exciting.
Yeah, just adding on to that. I'm not sure if you were aware, we are funding a team in South Africa. So I think just getting the experience just feeling as if we can make a small difference just as a team of like 12 girls, that we can make a difference in other parts of the world has just been so amazing, which is why robotics is just such an amazing experience.
That's awesome. I can't wait to hear more about that project too.
Awesome. Well, that wraps up this interview. Thanks again for taking the time out of your busy schedule to meet with us today. To our YouTube audiences, stay tuned for the next Sparkplug video interviewing more women in STEM coming soon. Bye.